Muy buenas noches, bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Welcome everyone. Good evening. My name is Angel Antonio Ruiz Lavoy, Director of Arts and Culture at Centro. On behalf of Centro family and our director, Jomaira Figueroa, thank you for being here tonight. We're thrilled to have you join us tonight for the presentation of the film Layers, directed by our Spring 2024 Artist in Residence, César Abreu. This event marks the culmination of Cesar's residency here at Centro, during which he explored the intersections of dance, memory, and identity through the lens of Puerto Rican dance, teaching, and queer traditions in New York City. The open call for this residency focused on research into dance as a discipline, and Cesar's proposal stood out among many talented applicants. His proposal captured our attention with his commitment to unearthing the stories of pioneers in corporal expression and their significance in Puerto Rican queer movements in the diaspora. Also, because, and if you know him, you know that this is true, his attention to details, the perfect timeline, and the perfect budget. He kept us dancing at the rhythm and with discipline throughout his residency. Over the past several months, Cesar has immersed himself in our library and archives, employing both traditional and non traditional research methods to bring these narratives to life. His dedication to preserving and celebrating these expressions of identity aligns beautifully with our mission here at Centro, and we're very excited to present this film tonight. In creating Layers, Cesar did not work alone. This film is the result of a true collaborative effort with dancers, composers, musicians, and visual artists who have come together to breathe life into this unique piece of work. Their collective vision has not only produced a dance film that moves us physically and emotionally, but also challenges us to think about the role of archives, memory, and the arts as community processes, but also as tools in shaping and reshaping our common narratives. Following the screening, we will have the opportunity to dive deeper into these themes. We're also honored to have a special musical performance by the extraordinary composer Angélica Negrón, whose work will further amplify tonight's conversation about memory, movement, and the power of creative collaboration. Our artistic residence program allows artists to focus on the phase of research. If you would like to support this program, please consider donating. There's a link on your physical and on your digital program. We thank you all for being here and share this moment with us, and we look forward to an evening of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Please help me welcome Cesar to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate the world premiere of my film, Layers. It is an incredible honor to share this work with you, and I am deeply grateful for the support that has made this moment possible. Layers invites you to embark on a hauntingly beautiful journey of self-acceptance, woven through the intricate tapestry of dance and music. This film draws inspiration from my own experiences as a young Puerto Rican gay little boy, navigating a world often marked by cultural intolerance and rigid doctrines. It reflects not only my struggles and triumphs, but also serves as a testament to the resilience and strength found within our marginalized communities. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Centro, Center for Puerto Rican Studies. Thank you for opening your doors and allowing me to create using your collection as a source of inspiration. Your support has been invaluable in bringing this vision to life. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to everyone I had the privilege of interviewing during this process. Your trust, time, and willingness to share your stories help to bind this film together. It is those narratives that remind us we are not alone in our struggles and that our experiences, however different, resonate with one another. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible dancers who brought this film to fruition. Your artistry, creativity, and unwavering support have infused layers with a depth and richness that I could not have achieved alone. Each of you has contributed to your unique voice to this project, and it has been an honor to work alongside you. Most especially, I would like to acknowledge the immense talents of my collaborators, Angélica Negrón, as her music really matched perfectly with the vision that I had for this film, and visual artist Roxane Revon, whose work beautifully tied the elements of the film together. In Layers, the transformative power of love, both for oneself and for others, shines through every movement and note. I hope this film resonates with those who have felt the weight of marginalization, offering a glimpse of hope and a promise that even in the darkest moments, like the ones we're living now, the light of self acceptance can guide us toward a horizon of possibility. As we navigate this journey together, let us celebrate the beauty of our shared humanity and the strength found in our collective stories. Layers is not just my story, it reflects countless voices that long to be heard, calling us to embrace our true selves and honor the rich fabric of our identities. At this moment, if you can turn off your cell phones or put them on silent, thank you for being here tonight, for your support, and for joining me in this celebration of love, resilience, and the quest for authenticity. I hope you enjoy the film. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let me tell you, it's a whole different experience watching that on your cell phone than watching it in a big screen. I was like, wow, that's not what I saw. Congratulations, Cesar, and everyone in the team. That was incredible. Um, what about we start introducing yourselves to the audience, talking a little bit about what has been your training, your artistic journey, and what was your role in this film?
Wow. I know a lot of people, and I'm so thankful that you all are here. Before we start, I just wanna, if the dancers that were in the film are here, if you can stand up and take a bow. Without them, this would definitely not be possible, and I'm so grateful. My name is Cesar. For those of you that are visiting and don't know me, César Abreu. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. My career started as early as I would say 7, and art has always been an integral part of my life in every aspect. I had the fortune of having 2 grandparents that were always very supportive of my sister and I, who is here, my sister Edmi, and my mom. They flew from Florida, and they always encouraged me to, you know, do my thing or recite a monologue or whatever, they were there taking me to auditions. Eventually, I made my way to Florida, where I went to a performing arts high school, and then after that, I went to the University of the Arts, where I got my undergraduate degree in dance education. And my master's I got here at NYU. I arrived. I've been in New York since the year 2000. Graduated in 2002, and done, like every other dancer, everything and anything to survive and make it. And for the last 18 years, the Metropolitan Opera has been my home, my family. They provided me a place to perform and continue to do my craft, what I love.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angélica Negrón, composer for this film, and also born and raised in Puerto Rico, in Carolina, and have been in New York since 2006. Also went to NYU. Didn't realize that that's why I moved to New York. Um, and yeah, grew up playing violin and was really interested in many other instruments, but didn't really know what that meant because I never, as a violinist, I never played something by someone that was alive, so I didn't know that composing was a thing. So yeah, when I discovered composition, everything made sense. And yeah, and I've been writing music since then. I read a lot of music for orchestras and choirs and things like that, like more traditional, but also love experimenting with unusual instruments and robotics and field recordings and electronics, and also love collaborating with other mediums like dance.
So my name is Roxane Revon. I feel my contribution is very modest here, so I feel the dancers should be here instead of me. But I'm a visual artist, and I started more as a theater director and scenographer. I collaborated with choreographers like ABT choreographer Jessica Lang before, and I always love this collaboration. And this is the first time I collaborate on a film with a choreographer. And this experience is very interesting. So I work a lot on the relationship we have with non-human beings, especially plants. And his work was very much on, these just bodies in the black box with this sun. And I work a lot with plants and flowers in a box with water. And so it resonated with me, and I'm so glad I got to collaborate with you.
Cesar, this question is for you. What motivated you to apply for the artistic residency program, and how was your process doing research for this film?
Um, so I was working recently on a project, and it's a bit of a strange turn, but just uh, it has a happy ending. I wanted to introduce. I've always been really proud of my. If you met any Puerto Rican, we're proud people. We go everybody knows that we're from Puerto Rico. For those of you that encounter one of us. We're loud, and we're so proud of our culture and our history, and although complicated, because in a way we are kind of sometimes, and not to talk about politics, but we're kind of like in a way stepchildren. We do have citizenship, but it's just a complicated relationship, and so I've always taken my Puerto Ricanidad everywhere I go. That's something that is really important to me. And I was working on a project, and I wanted to introduce the element of salsa music. I wanted to bring it into the project. And I had never experienced this before, but the response that I got was, well, we don't really want people to feel uncomfortable. And that to me was like, well, I grew up with salsa. That's the thing that we do in order to, you know, uh, get to know one another. It's done in quinceañeros, it's done in Sweet 16, it's done in bodas, it's everywhere. So why wouldn't I want to, introduce that into the project? Needless to say, I ventured onto another project, and I was really searching for something that would, you know what? Uh, I am going to empower myself from that experience. And if anything, I am going to get more connected with my history and with my people and with those people that came before me. So when the announcement was made to, in search of a dancer choreographer to come and use Centro as a source of research in order to create a project, it's almost like it was perfect. And getting the opportunity to be selected was just it just came from the universe, and I'm so incredibly grateful.
Um, how do these projects change when from your original idea to when you started doing your research, right? Because we receive many like artists in residence, and they submit a proposal, and the proposal is so amazing, and then they start like doing research and finding new things that they were not expecting to find, right? And they're like, Angel, I'm so worried, like this is not what I wanted to do. I'm like, that's fine, that's okay, like you can come out with something else. How much did your project change, and how the process of interviewing people, going through the microfilms, how that research process changed your project or changed you probably?
Immensely. I mean, I've never tackled, I've choreographed before and I've directed, but I've never had to do the amount of research that I was able to do with the collections here. And, there are many ways to tell a story on film. You can do a narrative of what you research. You can do a documentary if you want to go in that direction. You can also do stories of the people that you're researching. But there were several collections that called my attention, and in particular, two. One was the Lucy Hernandez papers, and Lucy's here. I came across her papers, her collection. Luz is someone who started in fashion and ended up being a counselor and an educator in here in New York. And she used art modalities like music and dance to help out children in marginalized communities and people that have been neglected, and she really instilled that sense of appreciation. And in fact, I got to interview, consequently, one of her students who's also here today, Carmen Reyes. And to hear the impact that, having someone like Luz in her path really illuminated her own path. That was one of the collections that I was able to research, and then the other one was this collection of called Homovisiones. Homovisiones is basically, anybody here? Yes, awesome. And it's basically during the AIDS epidemic, there was an activism group called ACT UP, and out of their Latino chapter came this group of Latinos, of not only Puerto Ricans, but a lot of them were, and they started this television show on public access network. Um, the pandemic, the epidemic, the AIDS epidemic was really something that I'm sure you've all have heard, or if not, then it was just a really uncertain time, and a lot of the people that were affected were Latinos and our Black community. And nothing was being done. The government wasn't really helping. This will pass, or it's just like it's affecting a certain group. And, during that time, it was really, it was an unkind time, especially for gays. And they decided to, come together and form this group and do a presentation every week that was about awareness, They talked about events that were happening in the gay Latino community. They got to interview directors like Pedro Almodóvar. They did a lot of things that were they were pioneers. Nothing like that. Certainly, no gay Latinos were on TV at that moment, and they really opened the doors for some of the progress that we've had. And after that, that led me to other people that I interviewed who were equally inspiring to me to thread this storyline together. And at the end of the day, it's about having light, having something that propels you to your better angels, to really succeed, to amidst the darkness that surrounds you at one point or another. It's all about self-reflection, going within, and hopefully remaining steadfast on hope. Hope.
That's beautiful. You were just talking about threading a story and threading a narrative, and that's usually hard when you have like so many subjects that you want to talk about. But in this particular case, you don't only have the subjects, you have collaborators that have their own aesthetics and their own vision on what art is. And this is a question for the three of us, right? Because it felt like everything was like, so perfectly woven, but I bet it was not as easier as, put all that together. It was not that easy, I'm guessing.
Well, I must say that when I came across, when I put these are dancers that I admire deeply, that I've worked at one point or another with them. And, first we didn't have any music, we just had the stories. And in some of the cases, when I would meet with the dancers, I would guide them through a whole meditation. And then the movement, I've never been interested of telling people how to dance. I've always just been enamored by the way people. That's why I fell in love with dance, and the creative process in filming was, I was more interested on how they move themselves. And they're the ones that came up. All that movement is really not. I would give them a structured improvisation of like, look, I'm going to film it from here. I want you to, but they created all of the language, which was just beautiful. And then I needed music. I've always been a fan of art. Has been in my life the whole. So I knew I wanted to have almost like bookends. I knew that I wanted a first, a second, and a third movement, but I didn't know how to put it together. So I reached out to Roxane, and I fell in love with her work. And then finally, I was able to. Angelica and I had worked on a documentary from a little band that I was in, Menudo. She was the composer for that documentary, and so we had that connection. And I asked her if she would be interested in the project, and she obliged. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, the process was really interesting. I think when I write music for film, there's almost always like a very clear either temp music that's guiding it, that's like do something like this, um, or something that's that they come at you with something very specific. And in this case, it was um, yeah, it was responding to the movement, which was really refreshing and beautiful. And Cesar was coming to me because he could hear my music already, not for me to sound like someone else, which is also very refreshing. So yeah, I think there's something that kind of magical that happened. It's the first time I'm seeing it with the film, and we went kind of like a back and forth. I saw some images and some footage, and then from that sent Cesar a few pieces that I thought could work, and then we went back and forth and adjusted things, then expanded some things, um, and it's really beautiful to see it all come together, also with our songs visuals. And yeah.
So the music came after the
It's an important thing because I would basically give the dancers a scenario or some direction, and this music is not the music that they were dancing to when they were being filmed, which is something really. I mean, I learned. How do you put a film together and you don't even have the music? It's hard. You have to look through the footage and see, what's going to happen next that flows seamlessly with the music. And it's not an easy thing to do, but I think that the dancers did an amazing job.
Yeah, and for us, we met more than a year ago, I think. And what I got was just the raw footage of the dance without any music, just these beautiful bodies with the sun and all that. And I remember also telling you, you should edit it. You really should edit it because you are the ones gonna really put everything together. And then, so I had time also to do some research about Puerto Rican flowers and all. And I've been to Puerto Rico twice. I'm from south of France with a family from North Africa, half of my family. So, and all your stories, I got to really know your stories, your family stories, and all that was super inspiring. So I would just send all my ideas to César, and he chose whatever felt right for the project. And I love that I didn't want to have anything to say about the editing because I think everything comes from him and he's the thread throughout the whole work. Yeah.
They felt so Caribbean to me, those images.
Good.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Um, Another question I have for you, it's like, as artists, sometimes we work by yourself on this process. Uh, how was it to work together as a team and you started to explain that with the dancers that you gave them like some cues, etc. Is this a first time for you? Like you lost me. I'm blown away when you said like they were dancing to a different music, but
It was a daunting process. I really wanted to capture them and to tell the stories through them. So, but how do you come up with music? I mean, that's a new process for me. Do you go and ask the composers? Do I do something that has existed before? Do I do something that's típico de Puerto Rico? And I felt that when I came up with the idea of collaborating with Angelica, I really loved her sensibility, her music sensibility. And I feel that it really captured, it really told the story in a way. It's almost like you're listening, but it's almost, there's a narration behind it. So, usually, for those of you that are not familiar with how do you put a dance piece together, you have the music before and you create a set of steps, and then that's one way. There are many ways to create a dance, but that's one way. So I chose a more difficult path, I guess. So.
and at the same time, it feels very like decolonial, anti-patriarchal, and all that, right? Because you are kind of co-creating with like a bunch of people, and you're allowing them to bring their own voice into this beautiful piece, right?
That's essential.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't do it alone. You have to, for me to uplift the voices of those people that I interview, for you bringing in the talent of the dancers, their own suggestions. Oh well, what if we do it like this? I also had a person that. Rebecca Magazine, who did the lighting, and I said, I want one source of light, one source of light. And she's like, how do we do it? We only have 3 lights. So, and she did a beautiful job. Yeah, it's an exciting process. We collaborated, but in a way, when you're creating a film, you're isolated because you're spending countless hours reviewing the footage, and there were hours of footage of the dancers. So it's like, what do you pick? It's all good, you know? So.
Okay. We have a couple of more minutes. I will definitely would love to hear some of your questions for our panelists tonight, but also would love to hear the experience of the dancers. There are two mics on each corner. If you all can, stand and share some of your stories if you want to. I don't want to put you in the spotlight, but also members of the audience who want to do a question, like this is your time. We have 10 minutes for that.
Come on.
Don't be shy.
So for improv, right, for dancers that improv a lot, and I love to improv, there's always this impermanence of it. It's like it's happening right now and it won't happen in a moment. And then whoever is there is the person who witnessed that improv, the only human that got to see it in that moment, and it will never exist again, right? And what I was thinking while I was watching it was how beautiful that you captured this impermanent thing that we normally have to just kind of let go, and it just sort of is gone after the improv is over. But now it's been like fully captured. And I was able to see the improv instead of just from the traditional, like from the front, dancers are here, right? There's always like the front. But the way that you filmed it and the way that the dancers really used their 360-degree perspective of their movement allowed me to be the other person improving with them while I was sitting in my seat. Does that make sense? Like maybe because I'm a dancer, that's like how I feel. Like I'm like, oh yeah, and then I would go yes, and then it was just like that's how it felt for me. And that was so gratifying because I can go back and watch it again and again and again, and it's gonna feel different each time now. And so you did something really special for me to have this thing like recorded, and now it's a part of history. And this improv doesn't have impermanence, it's there. So I was wondering if the dancers can talk about like, did they feel that same kind of feeling of like, this is permanent, since we usually have an expressive art form that is impermanent?
So while some of the dancers maybe warm up to going into, I had a wonderful teacher in college, undergraduate, named Manfred Fishbeck, and he really was so nurturing and so, you know, all about. I mean, I would do his improv class, his Eurythmics class, his, any class. I think I took like 3 or 4 classes with him, and I learned the appreciation of improvisation, of doing. It just feels very authentic and in the moment and real, so anyway, that's why it was important for me to kind of create a space for the dancers to move however they were inclined to.
First of all, hi, my name is Nathaniel Hunt. I was one of the dancers in that film. So amazing. That was so amazing just to see. Oh my God. Just to talk a little bit about that improv and the process. I'm just a little shaky just because I was just like, I was sitting with my boyfriend just feeling like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. And to watch my colleagues, Kentaro and Niall and, Jason in in this, so beautiful, beautiful. I first want to say, I think, uh, you led the space with so much safety and so much like quiet attention to silence and to space and how much space we needed in between takes or things like that. It felt there was so much care that you put into how you were guiding me in my process. And then to answer your question, I think it felt, for me in my experience in my body when I improv, it is so finite, but it's also just so present because I guess because I'm not getting that moment back. And so to be able to have relationship with my body, with light, with space, with this dark, with with this gorgeous, piece that we wore, I think it really evoked with your uh, introduction with such safety and care, evoked such a space of vulnerability, of such a space of presence, and such a space of when you're thinking and your brain is going from one synapses and one idea to the next, it was such a fertile place for that to happen. And so I think within my improv, it felt very, from one thing to the next kind of thing. And such a beautiful way to come down from that. I think sometimes as dancers, we can get lost in what, like, there's no ending, right? Because there is no beginning in improv kind of thing. There's just the now. So I think your ability to really kind of give this kind of gentle hug of like, okay, now we're gonna close that moment down, and now we're gonna introduce a new idea. So it just, from my experience, it was so lovely, and to see it and to see my colleagues, such a beautiful job, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you. I love you.
Any other question or comment? No? Yeah. Approach to the mic, please.
Hello. Oh, okay. If I talk here, I think that's enough. Um, Hi, my name is Nico. I've been kind of trying to like write my thoughts down to like make the question flow, so bear with me. Um, Cesar, I was thinking about what you were saying with like the archives and the papers and the history that you were looking into, and starting to talk about Luz Hernandez and the way that she was able to be. It's weird to say she when you're like here, but um, the way that she like used music and dance to be like an inspiration to her students, and like being in a marginalized community, and then talking about act up in the Latino chapter, and also like that being like another light, the first instance and the second instance of light, and being an inspiration to like our marginalized communities. And that kind of made me think about like también in Puerto Rico, thinking about light like in a material way, where like a lot of times because of Luma and the privatization of the electric grid, that a lot of Puerto Ricans don't have light. They experience blackouts. Específicamente durante like Huracán Ernesto and todas las cosas. So I was wondering, how do you feel your project and all of your projects contributes to this legacy of like having a light and propelling especificamente like Puertorriqueños to the better angels, and like how does it connect to being an inspiration not just to like the light of an angel, but also like the literal taking the having and taking the literal light in Puerto Rico.
Wow, that was really profound. Thank you so much for that question. How do I answer that? The first light that I had in my life were my grandparents. They were so supportive of anything that I did, whether it was imitating them or anything. The second light that I had was my mother, because she was one of the first people who I came out to, and she was, I will love you no matter what. You're my son. So, and my family, obviously a support system, but I throughout my career, light has come into, very difficult sometimes, uncertain times, and I've had people that have been there for me. I had a teacher in high school, Floyd, and I was rebellious because I was battling. I grew up being raised Catholic, and there was a lot of shame associated with coming to self accept. I thought that there was, for a long time, I thought that there was something wrong, or that I wasn't from God. And I felt almost impotent or powerless. And and it was important for me to surround myself with people who saw my light even at times when I didn't even see my own. So to get connected with people like Luz, who was a source of light for so many kids. I mean, she not only was a teacher and a counselor, she really created programs that were really successful. And we need to have more of those. So it's important to shed light. I got to interview Arthur Aviles, who is here tonight. Him and Charles Rice Gonzalez are the founders of the Bronx Academy of Arts and Dance, and they produce, they create, they support people, especially queer people and people that are marginalized, and really present work that it's riveting. It's really really authentic and good work. And to hear about their journey and their stories, it was almost like reminiscing of experiences that I've been through. and it was important for me to connect with mi gente. So that's it.
So now we have a musical performance. Angelica, do you want to introduce that to the audience?
Sure, yeah. I'm still sitting with that beautiful question. Well, so much in there. Thank you for that. Um, so we have a special live performance in which I'm not performing, and two really talented performers get to play my music. Um, very lucky to have Inbal and Kamala perform this piece called Ruta Panorámica that's inspired by road trips in Puerto Rico with my husband, my friends, my dog, and just like we were talking about impermanence and being present, just this moment of being really present, just like windows down and and just everything kind of becomes like the moment becomes like forever kind of feeling. And it uses field recordings from actual road trips. And it, what else do I want to say about this? It's the first time that it's been performed live. It's a world premiere. Yeah, the cellist, um, the cellist Imbal Segev commissioned me to write the piece for her album, so she recorded it, and it's out there, and you can listen to it. It's been out there for a little while, but it's never been performed live. And I wrote it for her for cello, and then for electronics and bandoneon. That's an accordion-like instrument that has buttons on both sides, and it's really hard to play and sounds gorgeous. And today we are hearing a version of cello and accordion instead of bandoneon. So really excited to share that with you all, and thank you, Cesar, for bringing us together, and Centro for hosting us.